Welcome to Disruptors in the Culture. I am your co-host, Amira Smith, and I'm here with my awesome co-host,
Joshua Meekins. What up? How are y'all doing? We are today graced by her beautiful presence. Amazing director, producer, writer, creative in her own right, and just amazing storyteller, Miss Christina Faith.
Hey, how y'all doing? Welcome to the culture.
Hey!
Yes.
I like to disrupt.
Yes, absolutely.
We hope you do.
So here on the Disruptors in the Culture podcast, we like to bring on guests that we feel like are disrupting culture as far as in their industry. And kind of like the representation and the presentation of what we are used to seeing of people in specific industries and cultures. And so generally, overall, people who are outliers, right? So we want to know, who is Christina Faith?
That's such a loaded question. It depends on what year you're asking me. So I think my email handle says writer, producer, director. And so that's what I am currently in my life. I am the type of person that has done almost everything there is besides sciences. And so a lot of who I am has been shaped and formed by my ability to be a chameleon. I went to 13 different schools before I was in the 9th grade, so that has shaped me in probably ways that is healthy and unhealthy. I'm a Christian, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, and I really take those things extremely seriously. And so I think just in the midst of it, I'm who I am, and
You're also a chef. I don't think you do that in there too as well.
Really? I disrupt everything. I disrupt everything.
She can cook it up for real, for real.
Really?
Yes, I haven't cooked because I got an air fryer. So my husband's like, "You got an air fryer, you don't cook no more." So yeah.
Wait, so I want to tap in on one part. You said 13 schools before 9th grade?
Yeah.
Were you like a military
No,
kid,
I wasn't.
Or?
My mama was broke. I used to lie and say she was a lawyer and we had to move around a lot, but after that got old. So no, my mother was a single mother. She was an executive in a casino for many years. And then I am the youngest of 3. My brothers are 10 and 9 years older than me. Yeah. So by the time she had me, she was deep into her career. My brothers were older. And so probably until I was about 5 years old, I didn't see my mom a lot. My grandmother and my aunt took care of me. And so when she lost her job at the casino when I was in kindergarten or 1st grade, it was a very rocky road from there. And so we have been evicted, homeless, and everything else in between. But my mother was always really big on, you have to go to a good school. And so she would never put us in schools that weren't good. And if a school wasn't good, we out. And so one year I went to like 4 different schools because of that. Yeah. And so in the midst of that, it kind of messes up your psyche all the time being the new kid. And so you try to fit in. Then you realize after a while you just don't fit in. I stand out in every room that I'm in. So it's a very interesting circumstance.
Yeah. It's crazy because even in a room of creatives, like I see you, because we all work in film, and I've seen you wave through crowds, and you're little. You're so little.
I'm so and I don't realize I'm little. I don't realize I'm little, so it doesn't matter.
But it's just like you'll know so many people from different realms,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so wow, I'm kind of blown away. Like just like you think you know someone, right? And then you learn those things. Do you think that your upbringing, like when did you realize like that storytelling was something you wanted to do? Do you think like so much change helped that, or?
No, I don't know if change helped it. I think it just gave me the ability to live in different worlds. Like I never lived in the hood. I always lived in the hood suburbs, and so we would live
parts of the hood.
Yeah, we would live in Camden, but we lived in the safe part of Camden. But then on the weekends, I stayed in the suburbs with my family. The first time I wrote a story, I was 7 years old when I wrote a song. So another thing people don't realize about me is that I did music until I was about 25 years old. And so film kind of like happened when I was like, oh, I can pick up a camera and I can make music videos. I wrote a book before I started to realize that I could direct. And so once I turned the book into a play, that kind of like grew off of it. So a lot of me telling stories has just been, I always have a lot of stories to tell. And in the midst of that, telling those stories, I realized, oh, I love narrative filmmaking. So film was a very big outlet for me. I used to live 9th grade. I had to live with my grandmother when my mom was saving to buy a house, and I lived in a senior citizens complex.
That must have been fun.
It was boring as they come. And then I got moved away from all my friends. This was the first time we had spent 3 years in one place. I had actually developed like long-standing relationships. And so there was a movie rental place around the corner. I watched probably every movie they had, and so I already had a love for film, but film and music have always been an escape for me. And my family gave me that. Like my brother, he had the biggest DVD collection. My grandmother had a huge VHS collection. So I was always consuming film somehow. And I think over the years, I think it was probably about 2012, I realized I can make film. And so I went to my first Black Star. Well, I was writing a book, and I was tired of writing that book because it was nonfiction and not fiction. I was tired of writing it. And so I was like, well, let me see if I can turn these people into characters. And so I wrote Single and Anxious script. Yeah. It was trash. So there's actually 2 different versions of Single and Anxious. Can you give us a background of Single and Anxious? Yeah, so Single and Anxious is about 7 college students caught up in love, lies, and crime. That's how it ended, how we kind of like went to talk about it. It's a series. It's on Amazon Prime. And so the first time I did Single and Anxious, it was in 2013, 14, something like that. And I had casted, didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, let's just do this. And it was horrible. But my friend made me put it out, and people liked it. And I was like, this is trash. Like, y'all like this? All right, sure. And so in the midst of my background, I was in a place that people were controlling my creativity. So it was a very big ceiling I kept hitting, and I couldn't get past the ceiling because I'm trying to please people and stay within their boundaries. And then a year later, we left that place that I was at for 10 years, and I was like, well, let's start again. And I started again, and we did Single Anxious season 1. But I always had this idea when it came to media to figure out how to shoot it fast and good, very much the Tyler Perry model. And we decided, we cast it, we did it again. I met lifelong friends. My life literally changed in 2016 when we did that. And I had a whole bunch of people that were willing to ride. It was the first time that I didn't have to hold the camera myself. I had a DP. He didn't know what he was doing, but I knew more than him, and so it helped. And so for 10 years, I did services, and so I knew I knew sound, I knew video, I knew editing, I knew those things already. I knew coloring, and so I was then able to teach other people how to do what I did and start to duplicate myself, as opposed to having to be the person behind the camera, the person doing the audio, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think my background just taught me how to stick and go, which you have to do in film.
Absolutely.
And the reason, so I research people. I'm also in a lot of different places. I'm in education, and I know people from everywhere. And so I think a part of that is because I've been able to be in rooms and know who I am in a room, but then I also want to know who everyone else is in a room. And so that's kind of like how that happened. And people just end up introducing me to people, and that just,
So can you talk a little bit about too, like your inspiration for a lot of these things? So I can tell you got stories for days, and you got experiences for days. But where do you pull that to tell your stories?
It depends on the story. In a lot of ways, depends. So living single, school days, do the right thing. For years, I thought that I was really inspired by Spike Lee.
Okay.
But then I realized that I'm actually more inspired by Darnell Martin, who did I Like It Like That, and they both came out in the same year. And so I recently went back to watch it, and I was like, I thought I was chasing Spike Lee all these years, and I've actually been chasing Darnell Martin. And so it really just depends. I consume a lot of media, and so for example, for Single and Anxious, my inspiration was Living Single. Figuring out how to mix Living Single and The Wire together was that inspiration.
Okay.
And so it really just depends. Somebody asked me, like, what's inspiring you right now? I was like, I don't think I really have an inspiration right now. I'm marveled at what we're able to create. If I say anything is my inspiration right now, just figuring out how to change the industry.
Yes. Disrupt the culture.
I don't really care about getting in the industry as much as figuring out how we can make our own industry in the midst of what already exists.
Absolutely. Figuring out the distribution side.
That's all I care about. It's the it's the holy grail. And so people are like, they're excited because people get deals and they're on a show. I'm like, but what is the distribution model?
What's it looking like?
Yeah, what's that really looking like? Because making it is hard in the midst of it, but that's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's how to get people to see it.
Yes,
so
it's how to get real eyeballs.
Yeah.
And so, I love making things, but I also love people. And so being able to bring characters to life is really dope to me.
Yeah, and I can say a testament, being on set with Christina is like, it's incredible because you have somebody who not only, loves the art, but loves the people that she's working with. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even talking about that, being on set with you for Love You Right, which is your new feature film, which is fire, I must say.
It ain't even because mine is really good.
I'm gonna let you talk about it a little bit.
Oh, man, Love You Right. So the inspiration for Love You Right was I'm sitting in a room at ABFF, American Black Film Festival, what was that, 2018? 18. And we're in a room with Netflix executives. And so she asked a question, how many people have features, how many people have short films, how many people have, she almost said, how many people have web series. She was like, never mind, everybody has a web series. Y'all filmmakers stop making web series. Yeah. And so I went back to my room. I don't know. No, we walked out of there and I said, y'all, we making a feature next summer. And I went back to my room and I prayed, literally had the Bible out and said, Lord, I need a feature. And I came up with the title immediately, Love You Right. And he said, well, what do you want to write about? I said the things that I love. And I started to think about all the things that I love. And I love musicals. But I had not seen the type of musical that I was seeing. But then also we don't have a whole lot of money. So we had to figure out how to make it work. And so I had never seen a pedestrian R&B type musical, right? That really just tells the story of the main person, like of the main character. Not all the other things that go around, not a group, just the one person, not a person that was just filled with drugs, but somebody who just really has a crazy life and is around people who may not be the best for them. And so we came up with Love You Right, and we created Will Clay. And, I slid in the DMs of Mark J.P. Hood, and he said yes. I had already, one of the things that I'm really passionate about is writing stories for my friends. And so when I casted, I had already casted everybody I wanted. I just needed a lead. It was a few people that I didn't have, but we just needed a lead. And so we needed somebody who could dance, sing, and act, and that was masculine because it was about a heterosexual male. And that was really hard to find. We didn't think it was going to be hard. Like, we started philosophizing, well, we could pre-record the music, and they don't have to be able to sing, but they need to be able to act. But do they need to be able to act? No, they need to be able to sing. And so just not a person that takes no for an answer. My husband said it's a great thing, but it's also a bad thing because I'm spoiled. Like, I don't want to hear no. I want to hear how. And so my music supervisor, Ashley Mangum, she found Mark through an Instagram hashtag. Slid in his DMs. I slid in a lot of people's DMs for this role.
You can slide into DMs for filmmaking.
Oh my God.
Don't get too shy.
No, I slide. I don't care. I slide in people's DMs all the time. I don't care. And so I reached out to Mark, and he said yes. And so that's how we ended up making Love You Right, which will hopefully not be out until 2021.
Okay.
But we're currently working the film festival circuit now.
Beautiful.
And so we did post-production in 6 months.
Okay.
And so, yeah. It's a labor of love.
It is an absolute labor of love.
Oh, my God. Yes.
That you should be proud of. Just put it out there.
No, and Christina, you go. That's the one thing. Because I'm trying to remember how I even met you. And I'm like, I don't know if we was just like in a room. You was like, hi, I'm Christina. How are you?
I have no idea.
Like, it was just like you right away, you have a vision of you meet people and you see them. Kind of, I think that's probably why you cast so well, right? And you could just see like, oh, I think you have a strength here, and I think we could best utilize you like this.
That's exactly how I moved.
Where did that come from? Did you like how? Were you a kid? Were you? I want to. I want to ask. You know, I want to ask the zodiac sign.
Yeah.
Like, what your sign is?
You can guess it, but it's not what you think it is. Try it.
I would say you're a Capricorn or a Virgo, but you're probably a Gemini.
Neither.
No?
None of them. I'm a Pisces, which is why people be talking about the astrology. I be like, child, please. Yeah, no. And so.
But you know what? That makes sense because Pisces are emotional and they really
very emotional.
They want what's good for people.
I'm
they
very
want
emotional.
what's good for people. And so you you know what? Let's do this. I can see this over you. Let's win together.
Yeah. So I have really bad leaders, and I've seen a lot of people that have really okay. So I was at this church that we talk about, like the people who were there. Like we had the 97, 96 Bulls, and they didn't know what to do with people. And so for me, I'm always looking at people as, what are your strengths? What are you good at? What do you want to do? Because if I can put you where you want to be, you'll excel. Like, I don't want to put anybody in any place they don't want to be, unless they're just like resisting it. And I'm like, no, you really should do that. Because in seminary, I also saw a whole lot of pastors who was in seminary and it was 60 years old that ran from their call. So how can I help people get to where they want to be early on? And so Jesus, when they created us, like when God the Father, Jesus, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit created us, they had vision for our lives. Yeah. And so how do we pull out the things that's inside of people as far as their calling and purpose? And so, because then you won't waste a whole lot of life and years.
Hello.
Yeah.
Because
I've wasted plenty. And so I'm just trying to
catch back up.
Like, that's real. Yeah. You're like, let's get to living a life that you want, because you can create it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you mentioned seminary.
Yes.
You wear a lot of hats.
I do.
So like we already said, writer, filmmaker.
Yeah.
But you mentioned you're in education.
I am an educator.
As well.
We started a school 2 years ago. We started a high school. It's called Vocasio Career Prep High School. And it's the very thing that we do for adults, right? And so it's a trade school, and we teach digital media, carpentry, and welding. And next year, I think we're adding automotive and coding. But what we discovered was a lot of kids, they don't know how to properly read or write because the system is jacked up and they're just passing kids through the system. You think your kids are doing really well because they got A's and B's, and they actually are not learning at all because they're grading them based on their education. And so when we were working with adults in the community of Hunting Park in North Philly, we saw that they wouldn't be able to hold a job and they didn't have any skills. Like, we were trying to give them money, but they couldn't use a measuring tape. And so it was the vision of Pastor Andy, Kim, and Mario, and then they brought me on. And so for the last 2 years, we've been building a school. Where every year we add a grade. And so it's really interesting educating high schoolers in a smaller, no classes bigger than 16.
So small, it's definitely small classrooms.
Yeah, and we never want to be big because we feel as though we're raising people who will impact change, and we want to be able to have a finger on their pulse for the rest of their lives. Okay. And so, we can add more classrooms, but no classroom will be bigger than 16. Their trades are no bigger than 6. And so they get a lot of individualized help and learning and a whole lot of love and mentorship, and they hate it because they can't get away with much. They've never seen people love them the way that we love them. Like, we're taking our kids to overnight trip in D.C. and we don't have any money. Like, we literally raise every single dollar. We're a private school, but it's one of the greatest things I've ever been a part of.
What gave you the idea to start a school?
It wasn't my idea. I'm just really good at execution. So
yes, that is true.
So it was a Saturday program and a summer camp for 7 years. Okay. But we knew that we wanted to turn it into a school. And so I saw the need, and I'm really good at hiring people and figuring out where people should go and belong. And looking at people's strengths, putting people where they need to go. And so, that the vision really was just, how do we help people? Vocasio, the word vocasio in Latin means calling. How do we help kids discover their calling at a young age so that you don't waste any time. So our goal with our kids is that when they graduate, they either go directly into their field, or they know what they want to do in college or post-secondary schooling somehow in trades.
Okay.
So they already have experience, and you should be able to hire them to do something by the time they finish.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a beast of a concept, because it is true. Like, if you can hide in like in a corner and just skate by. But this is almost like a martial arts approach, where it's like, no, you build it and you're like, kick it down again. And you're just like, what, master?
Child, they don't even want to hold the board up. No, it really is a different generation of kids. And so I tell our principal, she's like, I don't know if it's working. I was like, I've been to other schools. They ain't cussing us out. It's doing great. It's just teaching them. Our generation appreciated learning because of modernity, and because of how mechanics were a part of where we were, industrialization. They are, I was just actually outside looking, and I was like, everybody wants to be creative.
Yeah.
Because it's more of an escape than it is, so everyone wants to try to escape as opposed to seeing what they're good at, but also because we get those endorphins of those likes that make us validate who we are based on what we do.
Yeah.
And so this is a whole generation of kids that have been emotionally and mentally stimulated in ways that they will never, like they don't know anything outside of that.
Yeah.
Like they're asking for Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok accounts at 7. And so, it's a struggle because they don't want it. We don't have any kid in there that wants it. That wants to be in our school because it's small, it's different.
Yeah.
Why
it's
do I got it?
Mainstream
it's not the mainstream, but they don't want to be at the mainstream because if they're at the mainstream, they get lost, they get bullied, they fighting. We've had to teach our kids, like, you don't have to fight. Like, it's very interesting. One day we should do a case study on it. Our kids have such a nucleus around them, and because like they don't bully each other.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that they just accept each other. Like, the weird kids accept the cool kids are loving on the weird kids. But I think because they don't have anything to prove inside.
And it's all about school culture, I would say. Because my son has experienced kind of like it all, and he's been to some great schools. And where was that? Where I remember he went to a new school in 7th grade, and they were still talking about the one like fist fight that happened in 3rd grade. Like these kids that went through school, like that was like the one time someone thought, you know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. This is a school full of like black kids. Yeah. And they're just like, but it's just like the culture you guys
sheltered.
have. Well, it's just like a good thing where you guys are like showing them that no, it's about, it's not about conflict resolution in that way, right? You guys show them a new way of how to handle.
They'll love it by the time they get to 11th and 12th grade when reality sets in that they're going to be adults. Yeah.
But they have, like, you guys are teaching them skills they can actually use too.
Absolutely.
I'm like, if I knew what y'all knew,
back
I would
right?
be $150,000 richer.
Exactly.
Yeah, like getting a hard skill because you know what, a computer will never be able to do plumbing.
Nope.
No, it will never. Absolutely.
Do you know how much? And I be telling them, I'm like, do y'all know how much money is in this stuff?
Even like, coding. You said coding, right?
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Like you're giving them a talent that they can build and create starting from that high school age. They can make their own website, make their own apps, make their own development of technology. Period.
Yep. Or
that's
just
crazy.
Or just be able to get a job.
Yeah.
And I have
all
to
of that.
spend money to go get it.
Yeah.
And coding changes your thinking. It's almost like with an iPhone. They say like as much as it's designed, or it's also designing you and like your mindset. So I think coding is one of those incredible things, right?
And not everybody can do it, which is also why it will always be in demand. It takes a lot of discipline, a lot of mental structuring and engineering in your mind to be able to do it. But that's a part. I wear a lot of hats. They all kind of like come together though.
The one thing I definitely want to touch on too is that you mentioned your faith a few times, and I know we've had the conversation, but producing by faith or creating by faith, what does that look like? What does that feel like?
It changes all the time.
And it's part of your name.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I was thinking, I said, this woman has incredible faith. Where you're like, just wait, it's working. Like, principle is working.
That's my birth name. And my mother wasn't a walking Christian. I didn't get saved till I was 21. And so I also didn't grow up in the church. So I don't have a background in the church. I always mention my faith because I think a lot of people, they try to shy away from who they are and what they do. And I'm only here because I love Jesus. I was crazy. Like, what you see now is the blood-washed version. Like, I was a drug trafficker. I was a thief. I was a very smart criminal. Yeah. Yes.
But it's funny.
You're doing what you had to do to survive.
But what's so funny, though, is that, like, I not even felt that on you. Yeah. It's the fearlessness of how you go for yours. Like, you're like, let's make a film.
Yeah, it's not even a question.
And that's something like of people of a certain walk of hustlers. They go for it. They like, they don't be scared. They're gonna take the risk. They like, we gonna make it work.
Yeah, I come from a generation of drug dealers. And I sold drugs too. And so, my brother owns a very known. He owns Black and Nobel. And so we were actually talking recently about it. And he was just like, pushing cosmetics is better than money than drug money.
Yeah.
And so it's just taking the same grit that you had before and applying it. And for me, and we always talk about, how I'm just a better version of him. My faith informs all of it. I was on a podcast recently and I was talking about, how when I first started, because of the time and the time that I got saved, everyone was very legalistic. And in a lot of ways, everything was sin. And so you go through your period of you cleanse and you stop listening to secular music and all kinds of stuff because you really don't have control of your mind, and your mind needs to be renewed by the Word of God. But then we start to value our morality over the grace that was given. And so because I know that people have just had really bad experiences with Christians, I always tell people I'm redefining the image of a Christian. We don't have to agree on everything for me to love you and for you to know that you are loved by me. And so people ask you your stance on stuff, and then they immediately, I say I'm a Christian, and they immediately create all these stereotypes, the very thing that you said that I'm doing to you. And so, yeah, but then also, you get on set and something don't work, and I don't know nothing to do but to pray.
Exactly.
To be honest, like, my sets, I say we're going to pray. You don't have to take part, but we're going to pray. And if something ain't right, my sound guy, my sound girl, or my DP would be like, yo, did we pray? To the point where unbelievers say, yo, y'all ain't pray, did y'all? Like, we see the power of God moving in it. And so how it informs my creativity is simply that I have a boundary. There's some things that I won't do. My convictions won't let me do. But then I have to also realize that I still have to serve the purpose of the story. And so if I'm serving the script, would that character do that? And if that character would do that, all right, I'm uncomfortable, but that character would do it. And so, we've had to grow through me discovering what it is to live in my moral, ethical boundary of the kingdom of God, while at the same time producing not for kingdom. I don't produce for Christians. I am a Christian and it informs it, but I don't produce for Christians. Like Christians, some of my content they ain't gonna be able to get with. I create stories that I desire to tell.
That part.
Yeah.
So it's funny because you mentioned Spike earlier, and they asked him who do you make movies for? He was like, me.
I make
I make it for me. And there's always going to be, you're going to find an audience. There's going to be people who are just like you, who are going to connect with it, right?
Or people who aren't. There's a lot of people who aren't like me that love my stuff. It's really weird, but they can see the thread. But then it's everyone's worldview informs what they make or what they sing or what they believe. You shouldn't be ashamed of what you believe if you believe it. And so, a lot of folks ain't ashamed of what they do, and they throw it all on the screen. So, well, I got to be ashamed of who I am. Throw it all on the screen. And so, it's been a journey to figure out what that looks like. What, I have an invisible line. No, I can't cross that line. And so, but if for example, I'm hired as a director and it's not a project that I've written, I'm going to direct the project. And so it really it depends. Get Out, the first thing you see on the Get Out script, Romans 12:1 and 2. And so people's faith or lack thereof faith informs what they write and what they believe.
That's very true.
How do you find balance with everything that
There's
you have?
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. My pastor said recently, because somebody asked him that, and he was like, balance is a myth. Right.
It's
how do you found peace?
But balance.
Like how do you make
not topple over?
Yeah, where's Christina? Like, how do you find yes, you're exuding yourself through all these things that you do, but where do you find time? Like you said, you're married. Where do you find time for you and your husband? Where do you find balance for family?
It's the same thing that you do with everything else. You figure out what's needed, like how much is needed, like how much time does my husband need? How much time do I need of my husband? How much time do I need of my friends? Right. How much time am I spending with my best friend? How much time am I spending with the kids? And so I think it's just you make time for what you love. And if you don't love it, you're not gonna make no time for it.
That's facts.
And so I think in general, I don't know if there's a balance as much as there is a consideration of what I need to invest in. But my life is flexible. Right, I only have 2 days that I don't maybe 10 hours of my life in a week that I don't have any control of. I must be here for this, and so that helps me have a bit of balance. Some weeks I'll work 40 hours a week, some weeks I'll work 80, and so it really just depends on the season of life that we're in. My husband works nights, and so that gives me a little bit more flexibility.
Your husband's a photographer too, right?
Yeah, he's a photographer. He's a creative director, which is not an easy it's not easy to have to create with your spouse or your significant other. We don't do it well. I generally say, this is what I need, and then I back away. He gives it to me. I say, I don't like this, this, and this, and he's like, and so, but we're on the same journey, and so we understand the journey. Over the years, we've learned what one person is good at, what the other person is not good at. My husband would happily shoot for free for the rest of his life, and I'm like, bills, Destiny's Child. And so, you just kind of like figure out, how your life exists. A lot of the people that I work with, I am in close relationship with them. And so you end up spending a lot of time with people you love regardless. Yeah, so.
That's crazy. I mean, like, I feel like I have, on Christina's latest project, Love You Right, I helped, assistant director.
You was assistant director,
something small.
Yeah, a little something.
But it was crazy just having like the firsthand experience. Because even when I met you, like for the first time, like we had heard about each other, but getting a chance to actually work with you, like even you saying her sets being very much like a blessing to be upon, because one, you have a group of people who are working together really hard to accomplish a mission. Two, you're problem solving the whole time. And I don't think one time on set I heard you say we can't do it, or we're not gonna figure it out.
Oh, that's no
like
such
we
thing.
Literally like of your leader having the mindset of we're gonna figure this out. Like it automatically inspires you to go, okay, what's the next step to make this work?
Yeah,
know what I'm
people
saying?
come kicking and screaming.
Yeah, people got tied down, but we made things work.
people come unbelieving.
Yeah.
If we hear it's possible. And we were in some tight,
some tight situations.
We were in some very tight situations that you would look at it and say, this is impossible. But in preparation, me and Marquise, when we were writing the script and praying about it and figuring it out, a lot of the time, one of the things that as we were praying about it, one of the things I got was God goes before you. And so I kept that at the forefront of my mind. You're not going to bring me here, but we're not going to have to figure this out. Like there was one scene that we wrote for Love You Right that it was a specific scene. When we did rewrites, we took the scene out. We took it out. We got to a location that we thought was one thing. It was the only location we had never really seen. And so, when you ain't got no money, sometimes you book a location that you ain't never seen.
You just got to do it.
And you just got to do it. And you think that it's right. And we couldn't find this location. Like, we couldn't find anything like it that we could afford. Everyone wanted $4,000 or more for what we envisioned. And so we ain't had no $4,000. And so we finally got a location. We drove all the way to Delaware for it. That was I don't know if you were with us that week. The second
you talking
time,
about I know exactly what you're talking about. The second time I wasn't there.
Yeah, the second time around we shot in Philly, Delaware, Maryland, and
DC, wasn't it? No.
Maryland, it was DC. Yeah. And we shot in North Jersey, which was more like New York.
Yeah.
Like it was a 2-hour. You were there for that. It was a 2-hour ride. And so we got there. We couldn't find it. Me and Tay, we walking up and down the block, looking at other clubs. Is it possible? Can we just get this scene and get out? The place that we're at is like, it's impossible to shoot it here. We went through, and me and Tay went through, we was walking through every door in this place to see if there's something else. Finally, the guy tells us, hey, we realized, and mind you, none of the people that were actually you were there. None of the people, because you brought pizza, you was late.
Right.
None of the people that were there would come and see us. They went ghost on us. Because I was like, this is not it.
Oh, wow.
This is not it. Yes. Look at this picture.
We was in Delaware.
What? This ain't it. And so finally, we found a we found a rehearsal room with all mirrors. And I was like,
we made that work.
I laid on the ground and I was like, Lord, what are we supposed to do?
Because we even found dancers for that scene too, right? Remember?
Yes, we had to find dancers. It was so much foolishness to finish this movie. And so we had, oh my God, people got in car accidents. I had to find a van.
I found this was the night out of nowhere. I arrived on set and was like, y'all good?
Yeah,
I got pizza.
It was bad. It was probably, that was the second to the worst night. And we made it work. So the scene that we took out was actually the scene we were supposed to write and do. And that's the scene that we did. Yeah. And we just made it happen. And so it was a lot of making it happen. It was a long writing process. It was a lot of different eyes that were on this project to make sure that it was right. Yeah. But we did it. We got a really good movie too.
Yeah.
It's a really good, the coloring. Oh my God, the coloring. But yeah. So you just figure it out. And so every filmmaker has to figure it out. And a director's role and a producer's role is to make it work no matter what.
Absolutely.
So you can go into it and say, I don't know, but you're already dealing with the doubt of your actors that are in their world, but then in a character's world, trying to bring things to life. My job is to make you be able to have, when you're on set and you're in the midst of this dialogue, how can I make this feel real for you? Yes. Because otherwise it's not going to show up on the screen. And so we've spent the last 4 years, every year for the last 4 years, narrative wise, we've produced 2 to 4 hours worth of content that we released every year. And so this is our 4th year, and so for our 4th year we wanted to release a feature film because honestly we really believe that this film is good enough that by word of mouth, if we do this right, we can distribute it ourselves. We can get this in theaters, and so we're already working on that plan to figure out like how do we not have to go and beg you guys for money to put us where we, if we work this thing right, can go.
Are you thinking of a film festival strategy?
Yeah, so we've currently already submitted to about 14 film festivals.
Love to see it.
Love
to hear it.
Huh?
So love to hear it.
Yeah, but film festivals are changing, and they have changed. They want big name executives and big name talent.
For sure.
Film festivals currently are, and I was just talking about this too, are vehicles for press for things that will go on Amazon, Netflix, Apple, and be picked up by streamers. And so we've picked the upper echelon film festivals, but also the lower echelon film festivals that we just would love to be in the company of those people.
For sure. Get that traction.
Yeah. And so
networking.
If we can get into my prayers, the last great hope right now is Tribeca. I think we'll fit nicely there, but it all depends. You know, it's all about politics. It's all about who you know, and so that issue of who you know consistently comes up. But I think we've created something that will have people wanting to know who we are.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yes. So, disruptor.
Yeah.
How do you define a disruptor, or what does it mean to you to be a disruptor?
Hard-hitting questions when you come on the podcast.
Huh?
Hard-hitting questions when you come on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I think being a disruptor simply means seeing something and then seeing how it can work differently. And being willing to be the eyeball out in the midst of that and do it differently. You know, I think a lot of people, and this is my issue with the way things spread on social media and what we desire. A lot of people want to be seen, and they want to be a part of something that's already there. A lot of people don't want to put the work in to make something. And then, you know, I tell people Denzel wasn't Denzel when Spike found him. Like, you know, Samuel L. Jackson, Halle Berry, none of them were who they are. Yeah. They got together with their friends. They came together and they made 5 to 6 films every single summer for 6 years straight, and then they became who they are. Yeah. And so I really just believe that being a disruptor means that you can do something, not necessarily that hasn't been done, but hasn't been done the way that you see it being done.
Definitely.
So
going against the grain.
You got to go against the grain. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing the same thing everybody else does, and that's why all the music sounds the same.
Yeah. And definitely seeing your plan through. Right?
Yeah.
Having faith.
Yeah. It ain't no stop. Listen, I don't know what stop means. Been a good thing and a bad thing, but I don't think I know, especially if I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. I'm gonna, you know, if you're my friend and I feel like, and I know that we're both called to a relationship, I'm going to love you through all of it.
Absolutely.
Right. And if you're not, I'm like, all right, I'll holla. No bad feelings. I'll holla. Yeah. But for me, I'm a person that I go really hard, and I expect you not necessarily to go as hard as me, but go as hard as you can go. Yeah. Yes. And so that is uncomfortable as a disruptor. Is a lot of people can't do that.
They always say that. They say you're going to end up having to walk alone, or like, you know, you got to keep going. Yeah. You might have to leave some people behind.
You have to, because otherwise, you know, everyone doesn't fit where you're going, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this is a good one.
I do have I want to ask this question from Amir, because I think it was a really good question you asked last time. But if you could have one album, I'm giving you all credit. If you could have one album to describe your life.
It was in your docket.
Was it? From my life.
So yeah, this was the question. It's like, you know how like in hip hop especially, like a person's usually first great album is like a hero's journey, like that album that takes that story arc. What album, if you could like use like someone album that's already out or whatever, that you could have like or you would liken to your journey as a person, a creative?
I can't give you that. I don't know that, but I can tell you the album that probably has affected my journey as a creative the most. The Waiting to Excel soundtrack.
Wow.
The first book that I ever read fully that was big was Waiting to Excel before the movie came out.
Wow.
And so, so I'm in a lot of ways chasing Waiting to Excel. I'm chasing the movie, the book, and the soundtrack.
And you know what, that makes sense with you saying you were a writer first, right?
Yeah.
And then you had a book, you wrote a book, and then you adapted it into a screenplay.
Yeah. I'm not a natural writer. I'm not a natural detail writer.
Okay.
What you mean?
So you're more like outline. You know where you want the story to go.
Got it.
Writing books. I wrote 2 books. Writing books is hard. I don't have the streamlined thought process. I have good publishers that streamline my thought process. Yeah. I'm a bullet point person. Like me and my husband are opposite. I just want the bullet points. He want all the gush.
The details.
I be like, this happened, this happened, this happened. He's like, well, how did you feel when this happened? All right, but this happened.
That sounds like a good team to me.
And so, I think for me, Waiting to Excel, that book movie and soundtrack, because I also think it was at a time where we hadn't seen that. It was not a great movie, but it was a No, it was a great movie from the standpoint of the time. Like if you watch Waiting to Excel for the first time now, you'd be like, what is this?
Yeah, true.
My mom used to have it on repeat. That's why I'm like, it's alright. I've seen it too many times.
But I think what those 4 women were able to do and the representation that they had, and then Tara McMillan at her height, Babyface at his height, all of the people that was on there, like you can still throw that album in and it still holds.
Isn't that the shoe?
Yeah,
it
had Shoop, it had TLC, it had Brandy sitting up in my room. It had Shaka Khan, it had Aretha Franklin, it had every female singer that we love to this day. And so it had Shantae Moore. I would say Waiting to Excel, but if I say like, I play a lot of songs on repeat. I would probably then say Nipsey Hussle Marathon. Like if I have to, and I will mix that with like Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a crazy 3-album mixture.
Yeah. My music taste is all over the place. Yeah.
I'll say, speaking of music.
Yes.
Can I live?
Speaking of music.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the single?
No? Oh yeah. Let's talk about the music.
Talk about the music. So Love You Right has a whole component about it. She said a musical, so there's a big musical aspect on there. Yes. And I don't want you to shy away from that. It needs to be discussed.
It needs to be discussed.
You know what I'm talking about? We got singles.
Because there aren't that many musicals out there.
It's
and
not.
You put out a soundtrack.
Oh my gosh. So I'm like.
Original soundtrack.
Okay, so 2 things with it that we did. I wanted to figure out how to do a musical, but I also wanted to figure out like how do you shoot the music, right? Because most musicals are like extravagant. Yeah. But Empire and what was it? Carmen Hip Hopper were the inspiration to figure out how to shoot the music. How do you not have to do a whole lot? And so I have really great friends that are very talented. And so Crystal Typewriter Oliver wrote all the music.
Wow.
She came over. We sat down. She's a legend that I really like. If I can do anything with this project, I really want to amplify 3 stars. I want to amplify Crystal, I want to amplify Mason, I want to amplify Malaya and Mark.
Shout out Malaya.
Those, like I really see something so beautiful in them that it's like, if the world could see what I see. Yeah. And so Crystal, she sent me some songs first time, and I was like, the sauce is not there. And so it wasn't. The first round, I was like, what's this? This ain't it. And so she was really busy, and she had finally slowed down. And when I tell you I hunted her down, because I know my friend, I hunted her down. And then she came over. We had a meal, made her a salad. She's like, so tell me what you want. I pulled the script out. And I was like, right here, I need a song called The Life. I need it to be about the 90s. I needed to be about everything that, a young kid would want in their life. So we wrote a song that was very 90s centric. I was like, right here, I need a love song, but I need a duet because we have also, Mark was on The Voice, and then Leah Janae, she was on The Four. And so I was like, I need something that's a duet, but I need to be, not too much because she much younger than him, and that'll look weird, but something they can sing that's really beautiful together. So they sang All Over Me. They did All Over Me. She wrote that, and then Ivan, he produced it. And then we had Signs. I was like, right here, I need a cry, come to Jesus moment. That's 3. Oh, and then we did Anxious Sex, which is let me get back to that. We did Love You Right, which is the title track. I was like, at the end, I need a title track. I need him to talk about this. And so then I did also Anxious Sex. I said, it's an R&B singer. It's absolutely no way we can't talk about sex. I need a club banger. And so
the clubs.
on March, I pray, which is it is something that I am struggling with as a Christian. I'm like, oh my gosh, this ratchet song. But there's no way I could tell this story without this ratchet song. Yeah. And so on March 20th, Anxious Sex will be released. You guys should go follow Mark J.P. Hood on Spotify, on Apple Music. We're really trying to get on some playlists. That was produced by Christopher Stevens, who's actually a jazz musician. We have a jazz score, 100% jazz score, which I'm excited about. I really went into this wanting a jazz score, not having no money, and I called my good friend and I said, hey, you want to score this? And so, but then in the midst of that, the songs that we had we had recorded, unfortunately, we knew we would have to reproduce a couple of the beats because they had already been sold to bigger artists. Yeah. So because Crystal is a Grammy-nominated writer, she writes for a lot of people. And then Ivan writes, he produces for a lot of people. So pretty much with songs, they just literally just throw batches of songs to A&Rs and they just pick up whatever they want. And 2 of the tracks that we wanted got picked up. So we had to remake them. And Christopher came on board and he remade them. That was a process. Ivan produced those songs so well that it took 3 producers to get to Christopher to finally say, Chris, can you do that? And it was 4 or 5 different versions of the songs before we finally narrowed down, okay, this sounds better than the original. And so that was really what we were pushing for, that it either sounded as good as the original without copyright infringement, or that it sound better. And we finally got it to a place where it sound better. And so Anxious Sex drops. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
Ben Thomas mixes all of our stuff, all of our film, but also the music. So yeah, the music is the staple of our.
It's unique. It makes the whole thing.
Yeah, it changes because by the time you figure out that you went through 1 hour and 47 minutes because we got the songs placed in certain ways. Yeah, you fine with it. Like, you don't realize you just watched a 2-hour movie. And so that's another component that one of the reasons we did music is because my mama said, you need some music in your stuff. And I was like, Mom, Single and Anxious, can I have music? She was like, then make something with music. And so music is my first love. And so it was really cool to make something that I'm like, I think this is actually really good. And so it's real R&B. It's not that new stuff.
It's worth it.
Real singing.
Yeah.
He sang.
Not the talk
Mark
singing.
No. This is real singing. No. And he doesn't want to be a singer, so it was even better. He was like, no, I just want to act. So the singing and the acting was also a dream come true for him.
Wow.
It was a lot.
It's gonna be crazy. And this is.
I'm really hoping.
I know
that it's gonna be crazy.
It will be. I think the people. I mean, this is again coming from. I saw the parts I needed to see. I thought it was fire. I think I've showed it to people. People have thought it was fire.
Yeah, people have liked it so far. We did get a lot of feedback, and we said this to some film critics. Mike Dennis and Real Black. We sent it over to him. He tore the first 40 minutes apart, which was really good for us because I kept trying to get somebody. Can somebody give us feedback? Like, what don't you like? Yeah. And he was able to really narrow down what he didn't like and why. Yeah. And so we cut about 20 minutes off of the film because of it. Nice. And I think now we have I know because this is it. We ain't changed it. Okay. Now we have a cut that, the final cut is a good cut. Every act moves well. Perfect. Because people in the beginning, they were like, Act 2 and 3, those are the better acts. And I was like, but if you can't get through Act 1, it ain't gonna work. And so his critique was of Act 1, and we had Dawn Manning over at Overbrook. She critiqued us too, and so it's been pretty good. She was like, the first scene was killing us. Oh man, I missed my first scene, but they wasn't the ones. And so it's something that I'm hoping by the summertime I can go and reshoot that first scene and get it back in my movie. And so, yeah.
Okay.
But it stands without it. It's just I want it.
It's like they say you got to kill
I'm making it for me.
sometime.
Oh, I killed the baby. I was like, all right, that got to go. If I heard one more thing about that first scene, I was like, cut it. Yeah, it was bad. We tried.
It's gonna be great. I know it's gonna be great.
So
I'm wishing, because I'm like you submitted to so many festivals. Have you gotten all your yeses back?
no, so
Because I'm like I always wish when I hear about creators, I'm like I hope they get a few really great.
I just need you
just
need a few. Yeah, you just need the right couple.
Tribeca.
Sundance. So
That'd be great.
Make your career.
Yeah, so Sundance and South by Southwest we didn't get into. Those are the only 2 no's we've gotten. And so when we did it, it was very much with the intention of the 2020 festival. And so 2020 festival really, besides those 2, really doesn't start to get notifications until March. And so
I say Tribeca's March, right?
March, that's the first one. And you also, as a filmmaker, you submit to so many festivals, you kind of get used to the no's. You just be like, all right, next. What's the, we're already working on a game plan of figuring it out anyway. It's just that those will help us not have to do so much. So Tribeca and Black Star Film Festival are my 2. Those are the ones, like, if I can get in any festival, I want to be in Black Star.
Absolutely.
And so if that's going to hurt if we get a no, because my 2013 was the first time I went to a film festival, and it was Black Star. And it was also a month before I actually started shooting my first narrative. And so it means a little bit more to me than the rest of them.
Gotcha.
I appreciate all of them, though. Yeah. The big ones, the small ones. The ones that won't call us till 2021. So, yeah. But it's been cool.
That's good.
The grind of a filmmaker.
Oh, child.
Not easy.
The yeses, the
Not
no's.
easy at all.
The no's.
Yeah, I remember they said that it was like a new media doc masterclass for Sundance, and they said they were like, oh, if you get a no, don't take it personal. They said we get 8,000 submissions and we only program 80 of them.
They only program 80 of them, and 65 of them are their friends.
Or people who have went through the fest already.
Have went through the fest
3 or 4
already.
no's, things like that.
Yep. Once you're in the funnel, you're in the funnel. If you're not in the funnel, you just have to figure out ways to make waves for yourself. And it's okay. Like, you're not defined by the validation of a yes, because you might not get in because they're not programming your style, your genre.
And that's another thing.
So one year we did ABFF, and we got into Bronze Lens that year, but ABFF, their programming for series was literally all horror. And so it was like, oh, we ain't had no chance no way. And so you kind of like, you got to also know, like, when you're creating for yourself, but you have to have your finger on the pulse of what's next or what's different. And so that was one of the main reasons why we did Love You Right. We wanted to say what's next, what's different, what haven't people really done. And we searched high and low, looking for something that looked like what we did, and we haven't found anything. And so I'm excited to see what the world says.
So I guess it's getting around that time.
Yeah, it's around that time.
You know, it is late.
What's next outside of
people always say that.
I know. It's like, what's
we want to know what's
next,
coming.
Or not even like, because that is a loaded question of like pressure, where you're like, man, I just told you I have all of this.
No, you have
on.
to think about it.
Yeah.
It's not a possibility not to think about it. We're doing a buddy cop movie next.
A buddy cop?
We're doing a buddy cop movie.
Like good
next.
cop, bad cop, or like just best friends?
No, think like Friday and Blue Streak mixed together.
I love Blue Streak. All right, I'm with it.
Yeah, something like that. We ain't got no money. We got to figure out how to blow stuff up. But something like that.
Something
2 female leads. And so I haven't seen that.
Never.
You could try to take my idea, but we already on it.
Listen,
You
copyrighted.
could try to take it, but you ain't going to do it like
No, you're not going to do it. Like, I don't care. I tell people all the time, like, I've seen literally this one guy who actually worked with us. He was PA with us. He sent me his short, and we did a short a couple years ago that we never released. And I was like, bro, I made this short.
Looks familiar.
This same short. He was like, what? I was like, let me send you the link. Literally. We made almost the same short. And so, those kind of things happen. It's no different than Ain't Just Sex cover. Our first cover was a condom.
That was crazy.
That
was real
great.
crazy.
It was great. Literally that Friday, G-Eazy releases a condom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, everybody was like, they sent it to me. I was like, yep, I saw it. We're already working on something else.
That's crazy.
Like, it happens. Like, I don't think that one person gets one idea. I think God gets multiple people with the same ideas to see who does it first or who does it well. So, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
All movies are the same but different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Shoot. Well, we'll be looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
I hope you looking forward to it.
She said, 'cause I'm gonna call you.
I'm gonna call you. No, yeah, I think and I haven't said this about other things.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the one that opens the door.
Yeah.
And I really want to spotlight the Philadelphia, New Jersey area. And so I don't plan on moving anytime soon. I plan on coming and going because I got to get up out of here. But I think we have a lot of talent that's here that hasn't been cultivated because everyone keeps leaving. And so when you keep leaving, you can't build what they are building.
Yeah.
Philadelphia is being built before our eyes. It's not the same place that we were 10, 15, 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
And so I don't want them to build and us not get this money with them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And it's like the young people that you leave behind,
Yeah.
that while if they're seeing you build your company,
They're
watching.
Yeah.
They watching, but then also
And
we
they're
can
learning.
create some opportunities for them.
They're watching,
I had
learning.
I had a rich entrepreneur said, imagine if you duplicated yourself and then you created a job, a company that could house 100 people in your neighborhood that's paying bills. And then another person does the same thing. You'll change the trajectory, but we know Black Flight real, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's so real.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let people know where they can follow you, find your stuff, all that.
Listen, go on over to loveyouright.com and become a part of our patron. Is it Patreon? Patreon.
Patreon.
Come to loveyouright.com. Be
You haven't practiced this, have you?
I haven't. I just finished the video today. Hey, listen, we want you to really come and be a part of Love You Right, the film. We have a Patreon, and we'd love for you to go to loveyouright.com and be a partner with us, as well as follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Love You, the letter U, Right Film. Love You Right Film. And there's a lot of engagement, so I know you'll enjoy it. And also, you can go to Creative Thought Media. You can follow me personally at Christina Faith,
Yeah. We'll have all that in the links in the bios and all the, link in bios,
right.
everything. It'll be underneath our
It's probably
name
going to be
somewhere.
like over there somewhere.
I don't know
maybe.
where Drew's going to put it.
It might be
It's
right
gonna
there.
Right here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's first and foremost thank you.
Thank you for
to the
having me on this
amazingly
wonderful
talented
night.
Christina Faith. Yeah, that's
I'm
late.
y'all asked about balance?
Yeah.
I'm on the couch by 9:30, 10 o'clock every night.
And you here with us, spending your
Yeah.
listen.
I'm old.
Love it.
I'm getting old.
No, that's that early. It's not an early bird.
No.
You don't get up early?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do have
Yeah.
to give up early for the gym several days a week. But
Yeah. I be getting notifications. I be seeing them on the Apple
out
Watch.
Here. Yeah.
But definitely, we appreciate it. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys
taking the
for
time
having
with
me.
us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm excited.
This was like a
Tell Will I
really-
had the better podcast. That's
Yeah,
all
well,
I'm
we in
gonna
competition, Will.
say. You know.
We're going to see who get the most views.
Yeah.
But we're going to see. But thank you.
No, we don't need the validation of views. It don't matter.
No,
Our
we don't
guests
need
are
that.
Truly amazing.
Our guests are truly amazing. We love it.
See, you can get the views now, but will you get them later?
We going to see. We going to see.
That's my dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that, another episode of Disruptors in the Culture finished and done. I'm not getting better at this sign-off thing, so I'm going to just do it again. And we are out of here.
You got to be on your Noriega.
What I got to do?
You got to be like, yo, thank you guys. Thank you guys for coming to Disruptors in the Culture. And we're out of here. We hope you guys listen, like, and subscribe.
Hey.
Ooh. Peace.